Welcome back to the Moyne Way Podcast, where we explore the people, ideas, and everyday moments that shape life here at Moyne College, told through authentic stories, open conversations, and the spirit that makes this community one of purpose and belonging. Thanks for joining us this week on the Moyne Way Podcast, and I am blessed to be in the presence of the one and only legend, McGrath.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being here.
Of course.
I just want to dive in and get some context on your experience and kind of your background and like what led you to coming to Moyne and what was that process like when you first got here?
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's so many different reasons, but originally this was not my first pick. I don't even think it was on like my roster for colleges. At the time, I was a senior, so picture the senior in high school, just trying to get away. Wanted to go as far possible as I could. So if it was California, that was fine by me. So I started taking a look at colleges and I started applying, Syracuse University, New Paltz, UCLA, Vanderbilt, kind of just getting a feel. And one of my mentors who went to Moyne back in the 90s was like, hey, do you have Moyne on your list? And I'm like, no, don't think that I do. I was like, I have SU, which is a given, right? But not Moyne. And he was like, well, give it a thought. Apply. There's nothing wrong with applying, right? You don't know what's going to happen. You might not even get accepted, but give it that shot and see where it goes from there. So I was like, sure, I trust his judgment. He was never really wrong. So I applied and I waited. Started getting accepted to other schools. Started seeing those applications come back, and I was like, oh, perfect. I got every school that I wanted. And then Moyne came in, and I got accepted to Moyne. Now I had a dilemma. I had to pick from there which school I wanted. Again, Moyne was not on the radar. So I sat down with my mentor again, and I'm like, I'm in a dilemma. And he was like, well, I know you. He was like, so I think we should be very transparent with each other. I know you. I know how you operate. You're not going to really get to thrive in these other bigger institutions where, you have 10, 20, 30,000 people. He was like, not to say that you'll get diluted, but there's so many people. There's so many people competing to see where they can be. He was like, Moyne, I think, will be a perfect environment for you to thrive in. He goes, honestly, you can really do whatever you want. You can still be close to home. You can still have those connections that you already have without having to really start and build a new life. And at the time, I was also with my ex, and obviously she wanted me to stay local because that was her plan as well. So putting in both of those voices, my family, of course, natural thing, stay close to home. So I ended up picking Moyne, and I haven't really looked back.
Wow, that's amazing. And your mentor, he was in your life kind of like the whole time in your youth and stuff? Or?
Yeah, so I'd say since I was about 13, because it was through a nonprofit production company that I worked at, and I met him through there because he was the executive director, and we kind of just clicked. It was kind of our personalities, the way we operated. He was always really motivated and driven for students, and then I obviously would whatever I was doing and put my everything into. Like if I'm doing something, I get addicted to what I'm doing, and I work really hard to make sure that turns out the best it could possibly be. So those two personalities mashed together. We were always the first people there and typically the last people to leave. And the joke we would always say is we were seeing each other more than we were seeing our own families. So it was just that relationship that just kind of built. And, even now I'm no longer a student. I still consider him a deep mentor, and I still have these conversations or text messages if I'm needing advice. Even if he has no experience in it, I still trust his opinion over everything. So if I'm like, hey, can I get your advice on this? He'll give me straight up, and I trust that like gospel.
And at that age, were you kind of clear on what you wanted to do or like the path that you wanted to go down?
No, I think I probably changed my career path 20 different times. But in the period of me being a senior getting ready to be a freshman in college, I think I changed my major like 3 different times. Like not set on anything.
Did you have like an idea of like what you wanted to do, like as far as like how you wanted to show up, the types of things you wanted to work on, or was it really like just?
Well, I wanted to show my creative side for sure. There was no doubt about that. I wanted to be able to show what was going on in my brain because the way my mentor would always describe it, it was very chaotic in there, but the chaos always worked to an extent. And it always was able to show through, and I was able to also have that realistic sense to it. So when taking a look at a career path, I wanted to be creative to some extent. I took a look, obviously because I was in production, and I dealt more with scenic production and scenic design and building and all that stuff. I wanted to be a scenic designer. So designing sets, whether it was for shows, musicals, plays, movies, I wanted to be able to do that.
Okay.
Then, obviously, the other plan that was in my head was I was certified in New York State to be a rigging engineer. So that was hanging lights, sets, all that stuff. So the other part of my head, again, wanting to get as far away from my, original place as possible.
And you're from Syracuse?
I'm from Syracuse.
Okay.
Let's travel for 5 years doing rigging. You know what I mean? See the world, travel, really get to experience life, and then come back and decide that it's time to lock in.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. And, and something that I picked up on early on when we first met was just your leadership role and your leadership ability. Was that something that you were cognizant of early on in your life, like especially coming into Lemoyne, like you kind of wanted to have a leadership role and you felt like you were put in those positions? And
No. So again, everything always leads back to its source. So when I was doing production, I was the backstage stage team leader. I was the president for our board at our production company. And when COVID hit, I was really, I guess, the main driving force in getting our production still running, and I helped, make sure we were still viable at our original location. And then I helped with the expansion to our other location to get 2 locations. So I was vital in that. So I was around a lot and leading. But I was a high schooler at the same time, so I didn't know the definition, I think, really of leading. I was kind of just like tiptoeing through it, really trying to see how I could figure out my way. And then, senior year rolls around, my mentor went out for surgery. It was like a very critical surgery. So I stepped in place for him as like interim executive director and technical director, trying to call the shots. And it was a very eye-opening moment for me. It was super hard, being a senior in high school and doing that. And by the time I got done, I was very burnt out. And I'm like, you know what? Done. Done. College, I kind of just want to slide under the radar and kind of just live, have fun, have a good college experience, because I didn't really have a high school experience. So I have a college experience, bada bang, bada boom, done, right? Graduate, move on. Well, freshman year, I got by, right? I didn't do any of that stuff, but I felt like something was missing. I was very depressed. I just felt like a part of me was taken and crushed, so I felt empty. Sophomore year rolls around, and the president of SGA at that time, Michaela Rice, came to me and was like, hey, we have a vacant role that I just need you to fill. And it was for chair of academic affairs at the time. Had no clue what that role entailed, had no clue what I was doing. Was like, I guess, right? I'll do that. Then at that same time, the president for LSPB came to me and was like, hey, we need a co-marketing chair. Can you just plop right in there? And I was like, sure, right? I'll give both a shot, and I'll see how it goes. Well, I do co-marketing chair. That's fine. I do the chair of academic affairs, and at the time, the VP of club development for our SGA stepped down. And I served a lot of interim roles just to, I guess, to help out and feel a way through the college. So I was interim president for communications club. And VP club development stepped aside, and I had some concerns at the time about how clubs were operating. So, I had that passion, I kind of had that frustration. And when the role popped up for interim VP of club development, and seeing how everything was functioning with clubs, it was kind of an itch I had to scratch because my family and, my mentor, my friends always instilled this idea in me that if I have a problem, instead of just complaining about it and thinking things would change by me complaining, I should figure out the solution myself. So instead of me sitting here going, ugh, I hate how clubs are operating, I was like, okay, let me see if I can put my money where my mouth is. So I stepped in as interim, a VP of Club Development, fell in love with it, came back another year.
Wow.
And then I stepped into the role of president, stayed co-marketing chair for LSPB until October this year. And then I also stepped down just because the role of president became so intense and I had to do a lot of stuff. I just wanted to give someone else their spotlight from a co-marketing chair. So then I stayed solely president.
That's great insight from your family, by the way, too. Like, not to complain, but focus more on what's the solution. How can you help with that?
Yeah, I grew up in a family where it was all like, it is fine if you complain, right? There's nothing wrong with it. There's problems in every way of life, but nothing gets done by you just going, this sucks, right? Okay, why does it suck? Okay, well, typically people who have a problem and who have a gripe with the way the system is or a structure is, if they step into that role, there typically is a lot of change because they've experienced it firsthand what it's like.
So true.
So obviously it's just natural to do it.
That's really good. And I want to go back to your freshman year. What was that like freshman year, like coming into college, new experience? And, you had this perception of what you thought Lemoyne was. How was it different when you actually got to campus? I know you spoke about like, taking some time off and you were going through some stuff. But like, what was that freshman year like? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, it was rough, I think. And I think that's typically a lot of people's freshman experiences. They get their butt kicked because they come in. I was a pretty good student in high school. I was like, I don't have to study for anything in high school. In all honesty, I could just skate by and be perfectly fine and still get A's on test. And then I had my first college test, and I think it was history that it was, and I bombed it. And I'm like, and it was a shock to me. And I'm like, this has never happened before. What is this? Why is this happening? And then I was like, wow. All right, well, time to do a paper. And I had a paper, and I think it was history. It might have been a different class. I just always have a gripe with history. History is just my biggest op, I guess. So I, did the paper, and he was like, it was one of the worst papers I've ever read. And that was another like, what? Mind blown.
Yeah.
Because high school, I guess I was very sheltered as a high school student. I never had a single person like look and be like, worst paper I've ever read.
Wow.
So having that blunt honesty was like a real game changer. And then I was like, shoot, I got to lock in. So it was hard, I think, to say the least. Like I said, I was taking a break. But I guess, again, as always, my mentor is right. Opportunities just presented themselves to me, and I was able to thrive from there. So I think that was really interesting to an extent as well.
Yeah, and when you talked about, like, you felt like something was missing.
Yeah.
Was that, where do you think that was stemming from?
I think, honestly, it was a combination. I was in a completely new environment, right? New friends. All my current friends that I had at the time either weren't going to college and working a 9-to-5 blue collar job, or they were in college. I think some of my friends went as close as like RIT and SUNY Binghamton, and as far as Florida State.
Wow.
I think one went to even California. So all of my friends, we were across different time zones. We didn't know what was going on, right? So I felt that emptiness there. I had no consistent person in my life prior. And if I had like any friends that were younger than me, they were in high school, there was no relatability, right? I could be like, oh my God, I just did this paper and I didn't go to bed till 2 a.m. And they'd be bragging that they went to bed at 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. And I'm like, oh, how I envy that life right now. So that was an empty role. And then being, again, it goes back to me being so invested in everything I do, going from something that I was super invested in and then all of a sudden cold turkey going, done.
Right.
God, that was incredibly difficult.
We're talking about the production and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
production and
Yep.
stuff, doing all that work, and
Just
then
cold turkey.
I'm done. I'm going to take a break. Such a bad idea. I don't know what I was thinking, being like, I can go cold turkey from having my plate completely full to now have like the bare necessities.
Wow.
I have my nutrition plate instead of packing it on like it was a buffet. So that just made it very hard, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I relate to that, like, or I've heard that related through, like, sports and athletes, you know, like, people who didn't end up playing in college, you know, your identity was being an athlete and doing all these things for so long, and then you go to college, and it's like, it's just taken away. And I guess that's the same with, like, you're engulfed in production, doing all these creative things, and then you go to college your freshman year, and it's just completely cold turkey, and you have to take a step back, like, whoa.
It's honestly like, you know, I think it's interesting because I think everyone's a puzzle, right? And it's composed of all of your past lives. It's composed of your current life you're living. It's composed of all your relationships and everything and all your interests. For me, the way I thought about it, it was like someone took the main piece of my puzzle and threw it away, and I couldn't complete it anymore. Like it was an incomplete jigsaw puzzle, and that just like always hit harder because I didn't feel, like you said, you don't feel complete when you have something so central to your core values just up and disappear.
And I'm interested to know, like, how you weren't so quick, because I feel like so many people are, when you fill that hole. How were you not so quick to, like, try to fill it with all of these external things?
I just knew I was burnt out, and I knew that I needed a break. And I think it was a reflection on me because obviously I was a high school student. I was an awful leader. Like I don't want to parade being like, oh my God, I was good. No, I was awful. I didn't know what I was doing, right? And I think that's early on with a lot of leaders is you really don't know what you're doing, right? You can get guidance, but a lot of it's like figure it out on your own because you can get guidance from people who have been in leadership roles for decades. But the way they lead is something completely individual to them as a person.
So true.
And you can't replicate that. Like I tell people now, like, you can't replicate what I do. You can say you can, but there's always going to be a different way to it. Everyone leads like a snowflake is made. Like, there's not a single piece that is very universal and generic. Everyone does their own technique. So I knew, you know, in that role, I was awful. I was an awful leader, and I think that's honest part that I could admit. And because I admitted that, I think at that time I needed a reflection. And I think I needed just to take a break from leading, to really take a look in the mirror, think, you know, what was I doing good in, and what were some of my flaws? What was I really like struggling with as leading that caused, you know, some harm to other people, and how can I improve?
Wow. Yeah, that's really good. And for somebody watching who may be in a similar situation as you when you were a freshman trying to figure those things out.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have that ability or internal compass to lead. What is some advice you would give them knowing what you know now about leadership?
Oh, God. I could probably give like a bunch of advice, I guess. But I think the advice I would give is feel it out, right? Don't automatically go in and be like, I want to be on this e-board, I want to be on this e-board, I want to be president, right? And this is something I've said to a couple of freshmen when they're like, I want to be president of student government. Cool, that's a great ambition, and I love that. But think about it, right? Think, because you're in a different type of leadership role compared to high school.
So true.
There's going to be new challenges. I never thought that I would be doing these certain challenges that I'm doing now when I was in high school. Like night and day difference, apples to oranges. So give it a second. You may think that you want to do it, and there's nothing wrong if you think about it first semester, a year, and you're like, I want that role, go for it, right? But don't automatically come in with this perception of how things are going to be and ought to be, because then you're going to be really disappointed and thrown off when it isn't. So give it a second. If you want to join a bunch of clubs, being heavily involved, as a club member, do it. I think that's a great idea. Obviously, I guess I'm biased because I did clubs for a while, so I'm like, we need that engagement, but do it. Feel it out, right? And then sophomore year, go from there because you might see your interests. You might join student government. You might join student government, LCTV, and ASU, right? Thinking, hey, I'm going to be president of student government. Well, you do it for a year and it's just not what you wanted or expected. That's fine, but hey, LCTV is exactly what you wanted and even more. Okay, continue pursuing there.
So good.
That's where you can really find yourself because you don't want to create these false expectations.
Yes, so true. And I think that's amazing advice because I think that is a big issue I see with college students is you get really boxed in.
Yeah.
Right, and you're not willing to like explore and really see what resonates with you all around campus. And I think that's such good advice, and it's something that more students should really push to do is just get out and try a lot of different things and figure out what you like, what you don't like, things like that. Yeah. And to you, what does leadership mean? You know, being where you are now and in the position you're in.
Yeah, I think it's helping guide younger leaders. You know, I'm in the role now where I guess I've reached obviously I'm a senior. I've reached my life cycle as a student leader. It was funny because I was at NJSLC, which is National Student Jesuit Leadership Conference over the summer. And, you know, when I first went, I was the young one. So sitting down and having meetings with people and talking with people, and I'm like, well, I'm a senior. And they're like, I just got done with my freshman year. I was called the old one. Like, and that was interesting. And I guess that was where my perspective really shifted, is I was no longer, I mean, I'm still learning leadership roles. I'm still reading leadership books. I'm still getting advice from people above college level. But now because I'm starting to go into that transition and I'm leaving the college experience, whatever wisdom I have as a college student leader, I have to pass down to the younger students, the freshmen, the sophomores, the juniors, and provide that advice. So it's really guiding. And I did a presentation during NJSLC where my whole theory and purpose as a leader is not to force people into these boxes, but to help them find what that role is for them and what their leadership style is.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like so much of leadership nowadays is about power and control and trying to force people to do it the way you want to do rather than like what you said.
And it shouldn't be. And I guess, and to this I say, and I'm an English major, so I get my views biased.
Yeah.
Read a book. Read a book and get honest experience. And one of the books that I think was super life-changing for me, and a lot of people laugh at me for it because the title is so absurd, but it's a beautiful book. It's written by a communications specialist named Thomas Erickson, and his whole focus is helping Fortune 500 companies develop leadership and understanding that people are built different. In the title of the book, get ready for this, is called Surrounded by Idiots.
Oh, God.
It was insane, and every time I say the title, people are like, what the? And you recommend that? But then I'm like, hold up, hear me out. It's based off of the DISC method of leadership, and it breaks it down into colors. So you're a red person, a yellow person, a green person, a blue person. And when he was, doing these leadership roles, he found it really interesting because a lot of people fit these boxes, or you could tie back how they are as a leader to these color personality traits. And he remembered he was with a CEO, and he was like, the people below me don't understand what they're doing, like they don't get it, so on and so forth. I feel like I'm surrounded by idiots. He doesn't, and he says in the book, he doesn't truly believe that, but because of how he is as a person, right, he feels that way. And we're all built different, right? We all have our past and our history that combines together and really makes who we are.
So true.
And so that builds our leadership style and our technique. So from there, reading that, oh my God, I lost my train of thought. But
You're good. Yeah, you're good.
But reading that and
You're talking about the DISC method.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
and how,
So
yeah.
so reading that, you can kind of see how people are built and made. And then that can tie back into future stuff. So, long story short, you can take that, and instead of being like, I think you need to be this person,
Right.
obviously you're going to be biased because in your leadership role, you want people to match you instead of challenge you. I challenged, and this was another thing, I challenged the other student leaders who I was with at NGSLC to help people find who they are, to have people build themselves up. And I was like, if they challenge you, that's good.
Wow.
You don't want a lot of yes people to work with. You want someone who, if you go, hey, here's this idea I have, and they go, I don't really know about that, that's good. That's a successful type of leadership where people can disagree with you. And, for me, I'm very lucky. A lot of the e-board that I work with for SGA, they all disagree with me.
Wow.
And I think that's not something that not a lot of people see, but I could propose an idea and they could be like, no, that doesn't work. Okay, interesting. Why do you think that doesn't work? And they might provide an insight that I'm not familiar with. And I'm like, ooh, I like that. But that's what you want. You don't want, because some of my ideas are very half-baked.
Yeah.
Right? And I'll admit, some of my ideas suck, right? But I don't want an awful idea to go into the universe just because people are like, we have to say yes.
Yeah, right.
Disagree. And when they do, it's a great feeling.
That's so amazing, because I feel like it takes a certain level of removing your ego as a leader as well, which is very tough. Because what is that balance like of, you are in this leadership role, so you have to cultivate a vision and push it in the direction that you feel is best, but also you understand you work with people and you want them to feel empowered as well. Like, what's that balance like for you?
I think it was based off of experience, seeing how other people lead, and then going to myself. I'm not going to disagree. There are times where, like, my ego could probably build a statue, right? Like,
It's real though, man.
Right. Like, I'm just picturing it now, statue in the center of Gruen Quad, right? Kidding, of course, but there's times where I feel like that, right? And sometimes, and this was an amazing advice, Sean Chrysler said, take yourself out of the situation. See it in a universal aspect, right? Picture you just watching the scene and everything unfold. What would you say then in that moment? And of course, like, my main role as student president is to continue moving our model and to continue moving our plan. Like, we're currently working on a 5-year strategic plan. Most of us will be gone by then, right? Actually, I think everyone will be gone by then, right? But we're building that model and direction. Of course, it's going to change, and right now it's changing. The ideas that we're talking about are changing because other people's ideas and experience will come in, and those ideas work. So I think sometimes you just have to realize, like, you aren't an all-knowing person. You aren't an all-knowing force. You may think you are, and I think to an extent, to your specific experience, you are an all-knowing force because your experience is catered to only you. You're currently living your life. Of course, you are all-knowing in your own life. Sometimes you're not, but majority of the times you are. That doesn't mean you are all-knowing in everyone else's experiences. So taking that in and really weighing out can allow you to create a vision that works and to, I guess, put your ego aside. And it's a very hard thing to do. And I've worked with some leaders who just can't. And I guess there's being an oracle to a sense. It tends to be their downfall.
Absolutely, it does. It's like they're standing in their own way.
Exactly.
Standing in their own way.
Exactly.
English and communications.
Yes.
What was the thought process behind choosing that?
Okay, get ready for this.
All right.
I was a chemistry major.
Okay, this is great.
Yeah, I told you. I changed my career path multiple times. I don't know if I have it anywhere, but I did a pro and cons list of each major that I wanted and career path that I wanted.
Practice.
God, I love a pros and cons.
Yeah,
I have a whiteboard. This is a side conversation, and then I'll get back.
Okay.
I have a whiteboard in my room that's literally right behind my desk, and it's just thought ideas all over the place and pros and cons lists. Like, if I do stuff, I'm very pros and cons heavy, or the mind maps. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's a central idea and you go, I eat that up like a souffle. I love it. It's just wonderful. So
I love that.
I come in as a chemistry major, and I'm kind of vibing with it, but I took a core 100 class, and it was ethics. oh my God, ethics, love, and brand. Knowing who you are as a person. I think that's the course. I'm probably way off.
With who?
Matt Reed.
Shout out to Matt Reed.
Shout out to Matt
shout out
Reed.
to Matt Reed.
I give him all the thanks and the credit that I am in the path I'm in right now because he kind of helped direct me in that.
Same.
And same,
Yeah,
really?
same.
Oh,
Yeah.
shout out Matt
Yeah,
Reed.
shout out
Shout
Matt,
out.
yeah.
But I had a meeting with him, and he was like, what is your current major? And I'm like, chemistry. My plan is to go into education, with that. And he was like, oof. I was like, oof. He goes, I don't want to step out of line. He goes, because I'm not your advisor or anything. You're a professor. But I think who you are as a person is going to be stifled in that role. I was like, why? He goes, well, you're going to be doing the same thing every year for years, decades. You could change it, you know what I mean? You could shift up your curriculum, but at the end of the day, you're held at the mercy of the state. And I was like, shoot, I never thought about it like that. And he was like, for me, oh my God, I'm going to get this out of context, and I apologize, Matt Reed, if you're watching this, if I did get this out of context. But I don't remember what I do on a day-to-day. I have trouble remembering what happened years ago. But he was like, I wanted to be, I'm going to laugh at this, a gorilla sign language interpreter. And it was like, interesting. And he goes, obviously I didn't do that career path because something else came in. But I realized what I could actually do, and that I didn't want to be a gorilla sign language interpreter. And I think it was the funniest conversation I had freshman year. And he was like, I think you should join communications. I had no clue what communications was. So he gave me a spiel, and then he had me meet with Professor Julie Grossman to really get another side and aspect. And after that, I was like, well, looks like I know my path. And I went to the registrar that day, and I switched my major, and I became communications and English.
Wow. Did you have any fear doing that?
All the time. I fear doing anything.
And yeah, that's another thing that stops so many, especially young people, from putting themselves out there or shifting their major to something that they feel like they want to do or trying a new endeavor. Like, how do you overcome that feeling of fear?
So, I learned very early on, you have one life, right? And my family would always say this, right? You come into this world and you come out of the world the same exact way, with nothing. You don't take your money with you. You don't take all your pretty trophies with you and your accomplishments with you. You leave this world with nothing. So, take a risk. If you leave with nothing, what's the harm in taking a risk or taking a jump or doing something that scares the hell out of you? Just do it. At the end of the day, you're gonna go back with nothing. So, just live every day like you can. Enjoy those fears. Embrace them, because sometimes it's the best thing.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. And how do you think your perspective and relationship with fear has changed as you've decided to lean into it and do it anyway?
Oh God, I think I've come to embrace fear as a friend, and I guess it's the same thing with maturing. And a lot of stuff that is a very daunting task or a daunting topic, I was super afraid of when I was younger. Time, right? Because I was always questioning everything. I'm like, you die, and that's it. Like, all your time's gone. Like, we have people say 100 years, but realistically, 70, 75 years,
average,
right?
Yeah.
On average, 70, 75 years, that's not a lot of time. You put that into perspective, that's 75 summers, 75 winters, right? That's not a lot in honest comparison. So, how do you manage that? That was a big thing I was afraid of. Death, I feel like everyone's afraid of death. I was afraid of that too, because it happens. And then fear. I was afraid of that. I was afraid of fear because sometimes it's the most irrational thing, but to you, your brain completely rationalizes it. And I think that's terrifying, because in reality, your brain can rationalize a lot of crazy things that don't make sense. If I give you a good reason right now, and I really can defend myself that there's a unicorn right in front of us, I can make you rationalize that, and I can make you think that. That's the crazy part of it. So these irrational things, or these like non-structured entities or beings, I guess you could say, really, I guess, controlled my life early on. And as I got older and I started experiencing these things more, I realized that I could, be afraid of it my entire life and let it control aspects, right? Not show up to mourn people because I'm afraid of death or all that stuff. Or I can accept it. I can accept that it's a way of life and embrace it. And so I do now. I embrace time, death, and fear like a friend. I understand that, like, hey, it's doing what it's supposed to do at the end of the day, but I don't have to be afraid of it, and I can just embrace that and take it in every stride I can.
That's a beautiful perspective, man, truly. And I'm also interested to know, when you look back at your whole career here at Le Moyne, how do you feel like Le Moyne has shaped you as a person, changed you as a person, shifted your perspective, helped you develop? And what have you come to appreciate most about Le Moyne?
I think I've come to appreciate our Jesuit values. So cura personalis, magis, all that stuff. And I'm very blessed I've been able to experience that and take that perspective. I'm not a really religious person. So seeing those values, I think, have become like my spiritual guide in a sense. So that has shaped me to be who I am, and I'm very grateful, because I think if I were to have gone to SU or a bigger institution that don't have these values, I guess, so clearly laid out, I think I would have struggled quite a bit, and I don't think I would have thrived as much. I believe here I've thrived, and I think I can take away that role and take away the way that I've changed my leadership role over the year and changed the way I lead to be more of a servant leadership style.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. Okay. Well, now we are going to get into the quick fire round questions.
Okay.
So this is how we end every podcast.
Okay,
Quick,
I'm excited.
short, authentic answers.
Okay.
Real, raw, no overthinking. You got this.
All right.
But I'm not going to lie, I would love to talk to you for like another hour. I love everything you're saying.
I would too. This
Yeah,
is fun.
this is
I
great.
love
This is
these
great.
deep talks.
Okay. Legend, these are your quick fire round questions.
Okay.
The first, coffee or tea?
Coffee every day.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl. I'm up at till 2 a.m. every night.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Favorite food spot in or around Syracuse?
I like Delmonico's.
Oh, yeah. The Italian spot, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
not I don't think it's a local business, but I love a Delmonico's and Over the Q's.
Okay.
Shout out Over the Q's.
Shout out to Overcues. If you could learn any skill instantly, what would it be?
Ooh, the ability to learn every language.
Yes.
Such an underrated
Yes,
task.
yes.
I'd love to. I can understand certain languages, but just being able to pick it up
Everyone.
instantly.
Instantly. That would be amazing.
Mastery
Yes.
skill.
Yeah, that would be amazing. What's one thing most people don't know about you?
Oh, I can ordain weddings.
That's great.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would have ever known.
I think some people know because it's like a little fun fact. I always
Okay,
like to
okay.
bring that up, but I can ordain weddings.
That's a great, unknown fact for most people.
I love it. It's
Yeah,
my
it's
favorite
great.
thing. It's
Wow.
a fun fact.
Okay, that's awesome. Who is your dream dinner guest? Anyone dead or alive?
Ooh, okay, two.
Okay, cool.
Robin Williams, amazing person,
Great.
super funny, and Barack Obama.
That's a great table right there.
That's a good
Yeah,
table.
yeah, save me a seat for that one, man.
Right, both are funny, and then both I think can get really deep and philosophical.
For sure, which I love. Who or what inspires you most currently?
My partner. Shout out to her. She's the best. She inspires me every day. And then the SGA team.
Wow.
Like I said, they really challenge me. And I think, and they're a crazy group of people. And I'm just blessed. I get to work with them every day and lead them. I think they lead me more than anything because they help guide my direction a lot. But I'm very blessed I get to be a part of that team.
That's amazing. And honestly, before I ask you these last two, I want to touch on SGA. What is something from, your perspective, being the president of SGA, that you would want, the student body to know, and just some things that come to your mind?
Yeah. We are constantly driven and motivated to help improve the student population. All of us want the students to have a great experience. So, I meet with senior leadership all the time. Just this past weekend, I was on a 6-hour call with the other Jesuit student government presidents, trying to pick up new ideas how we can improve the student body. So we constantly work every day for hours on end, trying to make the student experience better for free. So I think we should. I think it's important that people know that we're constantly fighting for the students, whether they can visibly see it or not.
Absolutely, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I see it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
appreciate
for sure. One word to describe Lemoyne.
Exhilarating.
It's great. Yeah,
Roller coaster. One of those two. Roller coaster or exhilarating.
Okay, that's great. And last one is, if everyone from Lemoyne was listening right now, what is one message you would want to share with them?
Take the risk. If you are currently dealing with something right now, and there's a challenge or a fork in the road you're dealing with, and you don't know what to do, and there's a risky decision that could have great reward, take it. As I said earlier, you only live once. Might as well just take every risk you can.
Take the risk.
Take the risk.
Take the risk. That is beautiful. That's what we're going to title this episode. No, I'm playing.
I love that.
But that is going to do it for today's episode. We want to give a huge thanks to LCTV for making this podcast possible here in the beautiful studio space, to the Carroll College of Arts and Sciences, to the Gray Center for also making this possible, and to Put God First, whose support helps to make this podcast run each and every week. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the Gray Center and LCTV in the links below so you never miss out. We will see you guys next week. Thank you, Legend.
Of course, thank you.
Yep.